Okay, let's discuss regulatory, legal and economic issues. Unit 7. This is regulation of business. What is regulation of business? Business is economic activity. Regulation means how business is being regulated. In terms of regulations, we have if you are working in a bank, we have central bank regulations. If you are working in stock, we have commodity market regulations. So these regulators are very important for the industry because they create a standardization between the same industry and people compliance with that. And as a role, as a CIA, obviously which compliance is a built-in role of the internal auditing. That's why we should understand what is the regulation of the business. International trade is a general concept that once we trade between countries, this is international trade. And international trade is not an easy job because you are selling goods in other country and what kind of buyer it is, you are not sure. Will you be paid for this? How you have to choose the shipment channels, you have to do insurance. And if it is through bank transaction, this will be an LC transaction. Then if there is a fight between countries, is this an open country for your products or do you have restrictions? Sometimes industries, every country want to protect their local industries from the exports. So they put some protectionisms. This is what we discussed. Currency exchange rate and market, we have to understand that when we compare dollar versus pound and pound versus euro, so every day there is a fluctuation. What is this comparison, why it goes up and down, what are the different methods for determining the exchange rates? And then we're typically in the taxation environment like direct tax, indirect tax, value-added tax, capital gain tax, what are the methods we'll discuss. In terms of economic indicators, like if your GDP is going very high, like gross domestic product, the number of goods and services produced in one country is 1 year, it will be a true indicator of your economic growth, but there are certain other indicators as well. Legal rules of evidence, like if you are talking about one evidence, this is more convincible, more sufficient and reliable, what are the characteristics we will discuss. And in the last we will discuss what is a contract, what is offer, what is acceptance, what is who is an offerer, who is an offeree, where we get a contract in general. This is the scope of the discussion. Let's talk about agencies. Generally, agencies are independent bodies headed by most of the time the government organization. Like central bank is an agency, is a regulator who is a regulator over all the banks. And say like environmental protection department and labor ministry, immigration, these are all the regulators which create different kind of regulations for the industry. Administrative agency rules and regulations we have to develop. So people should know what is the law, what they have to comply with. And court interprets statutes, regulations and the action of agencies when a dispute develops between both parties. Means you are not satisfied with the latest, you can say, regulations issued by Ministry of Health. You are a big pharmaceutical company and you feel, no, it's going to create a problem for you. So you have a right to go in the court, right? And some rules and regulation agencies and legislation has sunset provisions that provide periodic reviews and reenactment, otherwise they terminate. Means they can, some regulations they keep reviewing, and if they feel this is effective, they will keep it there, otherwise they will be terminated in the last. Let's talk about different kind of regulations. As the nature of the business is, we have all type of regulations. For example, legal regulations, labor regulations, environmental regulations, financial regulations, currency regulations. As the process of the business is, as much regulations we need. So, for example, economic, social for society, securities law for securities, civil liabilities, anti-fraud liabilities. These are all the regulations that we should have if to create a common code of understanding between the users and the stakeholders. Now, if you deal in securities, you have to be registered with the security market, with the regulator. If you're a bank, you have to register yourself with the central bank. Same like, if you are in medicines, you have to, in hospitals, clinics, you have to register yourself with the MOH, Ministry of Health. These are all mandatory requirements. There's a term called insider trading, is buying or selling security of an entity by any individual who are aware of public material non-public information. This is actually a legal term. It is more famous in UK and now it is also equally in the US. Suppose you are a CEO of a company and auditor are going to finalize the financials and they are going to announce the profit. Based on that profit, your dividend will be announced. So you tell your friend and the friend he tells, and you buy the shares before the dividend is declared. So you can make quick money, which is in fact, it's not a good act in comparison with those who has bought the shares since 1 year and they are waiting for a dividends. So such kind of act is called insider dealing act, that once you leak out the confidential information for the personal gain, you are penalized. In certain cases in UK, like court has penalized up to 10 years to those person who were involved in the insider dealing act. And we can put civil and criminal penalties for insider trading may be imposed. Antitrust law is like competition we have to control because of the public. If private companies will keep increasing the prices, so what will happen to the normal people? That's why there is a regulator for price stability and the availability of the food items, other items should make sure that this is available in the market. Antitrust laws may prohibit the acquisition of share or asset of another entity if the effect may be lessen competition substantially or tend to create a monopoly. What is monopoly? Monopoly is a control over firm by one single firm. Like every country, like electricity department generally owned by the government, right? It's a monopoly. Some countries they have only one airline, that is the national airline. They don't have private airlines because government has monopoly in certain departments. Generally, if the monopoly is up to 25% of the market, then it's okay. But if it exceeds 25%, then it will be trouble, and the Monopoly Act will activate, and the regulator will try to dissolve your monopoly in the market. Consumer protection is also very important because if the supplier is claiming something and they are not fulfilling, so who is going to protect them? For example, there is a cream, if you apply on your skin, you will become white. Someone is claiming, giving ad, but this cream does not work like this. So there should be one body that takes care that you should not do false claims, you should not sell drugs without specification, without side effects. So this is all comes into the health and safety of drugs, food, cosmetics. So, and you should avoid deceptive packaging. What is deceptive packaging means that pack is big but the quantity is less, and you are deceiving in a way that you show a bigger picture but actually you get a other picture. So it's against the consumer rights. Protect the public from unreasonable risk of injury from consumer products. Means, we have, ultimately government is responsible for the people. If more people use some product and because of that product they reach to hospital, later they are going to curse the company, but same time they will see where are the regulators. what they are doing, what they are not checking that what is the chemical used in the products, right? So this is what